give us that, they can give us they can awaken our love for Krishna in the same way. Just like if you want to take money from someone, you cannot take money from someone who is a pauper. Someone who is a poor man, he cannot give you the wealth that you require. You have to approach a billionaire. So similarly, on a spiritual path, what is it we're trying to gain? We're trying to gain spiritual wealth. This is called prana dana, the wealth of our life. The wealth of our life is actually our eternal nitya swarup, our eternal relationship with Krishna. And that eternal relationship with Krishna can only be given to us by one who knows our eternal relationship with Krishna ultimately. So we're all in the stage of sadhana bhakti, vaidhi bhakti. This is the stage of rehearsal. We're in the rehearsing stage. Just like if you go to play golf, you put the ball on something called the tee, and then you practice a few swings. I know in Ireland golf is quite a popular sport. So similarly, we're now in the practicing stage. But by constant practicing and by achieving the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, the previous acharyas, and our own Gurudev, eventually we will actually gradually awaken this prema. But we have to be patient. Three things are very important on the spiritual life. Rupa Goswami says, faith, enthusiasm, utsahan, confidence in the result, that the result will come, and finally patience, because ultimately without patience we will not be able to stay the long course. Krishna consciousness is not an overnight cheap thrill. It is the highest goal, and just like if you want to become in the top professions, accountant, doctor, lawyer, judge, if you want to achieve the highest, there's a long pathway of learning. There's a lot of courses, a lot of exams. So similarly in bhakti, we should not expect that this is going to be, when we first join this movement, I know for myself, we don't quite realize that what a long haul it's all going to be. We sometimes think it's going to be, we'll just chant Hare Krishna for 6 months and then we'll be Premi Bhaktas. But it's not like that. Even if you just want to achieve anything significant in the material world, unless you win the lottery or unless you have a very rich family, you're not going to become a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, or any of these professions, a high profession in the material world, unless you put in the hours, the work. So we have to be here for the long haul. Krishna consciousness is not a sprint, it's a long distance race. And therefore, in a long distance race, we have to know what is our capacity. We cannot try to race necessarily imitating others who are way beyond us and suddenly can stay up all night and chant and sleep 3 hours and eat one small. The 6 Goswamis, they hardly slept, they hardly ate, they hardly attended to their physical needs. We cannot be artificial, we cannot imitate them. We have to aspire to that, but we have to understand where we are. We have to be completely honest. And honesty actually is all about humility. Being humble is all about being honest. Because when we're honest, and when we actually look at ourselves realistically, we realize that we have very far to go. We're still thinking about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. At least I speak for myself, and I'm sure I speak for other people who are not at the level of perfection. We're still very much, at least speaking for myself, very much stuck on the material platform, unfortunately. But nevertheless, having found this treasure of bhakti, what else can we do but go forward? We have no choice now. It's too late to turn back, even though it sometimes might appear to be daunting to climb a huge mountain. That is what we're looking at. When we come to bhakti, it's like looking at this enormous mountain, and on the summit of the mountain is Radha and Krishna. Krishna and the gopis are dancing, and we have to climb this mountain. But we have to climb the mountain, we have to take the correct food, the correct nourishment, and take the direction from the guide. You cannot climb a mountain without nourishment, and without a qualified guide. So the guide is giving you your food, he's giving you your nourishment, he's telling you when to which point to rest, which point to walk, and where to go, and he's showing you which way. Because if you go up the mountain without a guide, as we know in the Himalayas, if you ever go to Mount Everest, I've never been, but I've heard that you pass about 40 or 50 bodies on the way. They're all people who never made it to the top. They're just frozen solid. So that is the nature of the spiritual path. Unless you have adequate guidance, you may just end up stuck somewhere. Of course, we know that there's no loss or diminution, and that wherever you are in your next life, you will start at the point at which you left. So we shouldn't be discouraged when we hear these things. But we must understand that this is, until we reach the stage of Nishta, Prabhupada said it's like jump starting a car. If you have a car in the morning, sometimes we've had this experience, you try to start your car but the battery's dead, you have to push. So in the stage of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, we're like pushing the car, we're trying to get this thing going. And then finally, when we get beyond the Narta Nivritti into the state of Nishta, or firm faith, Nishta means very firm faith. Then when we get to the state of Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and finally Prema, then that means the car engine is moving, the car engine starts, and it's actually no effort at that point. But until we get to the state of Nishta, of firm faith, then we are liable to have to do this pushing. Prabhupada said it's a pushing movement, and it's actually true. Prabhupada said, I am pushing you, and you are also pushing others. We're all pushing, but we have to push in not in a, what can I say? We have to push in an encouraging, kind way. We cannot be pushing in a rude, obnoxious. Sometimes in our movement, we've seen that some leaders have not pushed in a very palatable way, and devotees have left. We have to be very careful. We encourage devotees, because to find Krishna consciousness, to come to a bona fide spiritual master, is very rare. First of all, there are 8,400,000 species which we've been revolving in, and finally, having come to the human form of life, this is almost like winning a lottery. Becoming a human is like winning a lottery, and then to come in contact with Srila Prabhupada or a bona fide Gurudev, that is like winning another lottery. So it's like we've won 2 lotteries. So we should realize the great value of what we have now in our life, and not turn back, or not dawdle, or become discouraged. Although it is a great task ahead of us, we have to walk forward with all encouragement. So what else does Prabhupada say here? He says here that the Lord is always hidden by the curtain of Yoga Maya. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritam mudho yam nabijanati loka mam ajamavyayam. I am never manifested to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am always covered by my eternal creative potency, Yoga Maya, and so the deluded world sees me not, who am unborn and infallible. So Krishna, for the mudha, vimudha, for the ass-like humans who are only simply interested in bodily necessities, Krishna is never manifest to such people, unfortunately. So we have to break through this material conception of life. We have to understand what we are, who we are, and how to go forward. And this actually is by the process of Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevayopatekshanti te gyanam gyananastra pradarshana. One should try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So, as I said earlier in this talk, by approaching a Shuddha Bhakta, a pure Vaishnava, when he becomes pleased by your inquiries and by your seva, then upatekshanti te jnanam jnananas tattvadarshana, because he has seen the truth, he will be inclined to bless you with the darshan of Bhagavan and with your eternal service. So this is it's a very simple process. but not necessarily an easy process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about premanjana, because Prabhupada talks about the ointment of love. So in Brahma Samhita, there's a very famous verse, chapter 5, text 38. Premanjana churita bhakti velochanena santak sadeva hridaya shiva lokayanti yang shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Translation: I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shamasundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. Support. The Shamasundara form of Krishna is his eternal, is his inconceivable, simultaneous, personal and impersonal, self-contradictory form. True devotees see that form in their purified hearts under the influence of devotional trance. The form of Sham is not the blue color visible in the mundane world, but is the transcendental variegated color affording eternal bliss, and is not visible to the mortal eye. On a consideration of the trance of Vyasadeva in the shlok Bhakti Yogena Manasi, Srimad Bhagavatam 174, it will be clear that the form of Sri Krishna is the full personality of Godhead and can only be visible in the heart of a true devotee, which is the only true seat in the state of trance under the influence of devotion. When Krishna manifested himself in Braj, both the devotees and non-devotees saw him with this very eye, but only the devotees cherished him. So what's being said here in the purport is both the devotees and the non-devotees saw him with this eye, but only the devotees cherished him. In other words, he was visible to non-devotees, but they saw him as something mundane. Eternally present in Braj as the priceless jewel of their heart. Nowadays also the devotees see him in Braj in their hearts, saturated with devotion, although they do not see him with their eyes. The eye of devotion is nothing but the eye of the pure unalloyed spiritual self of the jiva. Wow, that's very interesting. So we don't see with these eyes, we actually see with the heart. When a heart is completely purified, then the eye of the heart sees the Lord, because that is the only medium by which God can be seen. God is pure love, and unless we're, just like if you want to purchase something in a shop, an expensive item in a big fancy department store in Dublin, you have to have the currency available. You have to have either a card and the money in the card, or you have to have the cash. Otherwise you will not receive the goods. Similarly, the currency, the medium by which something can be bought, by which bhakti can be bought, is intense greed. This intense greed is called lolium. It's a longing. When you have this longing for Krishna, then Krishna can be purchased. And this longing is a love. Just like I was saying before, if you love someone, you always think of them, you always want to be with them. The symptom of love is that you always want to be with that person continually. You never want to be apart. Just like when people so-called fall in love, they cannot stand even one moment apart. They constantly want to be united with the beloved. This is the nature of true love. So similarly, when a pure devotee, his desire is to be with Krishna 24/7. He cannot stand one moment without Krishna. Prabhupada didn't even like to sleep. He said sleep is an imposition, because sleep, for most people, of course, pure devotees dream of Krishna, but for most of us, sleep is a state of ignorance. Therefore, the pure devotee hates to sleep, because he wants to be with his beloved. He wants to be serving his beloved, thinking of his beloved, and sleep interrupts that meditation, that reciprocal exchange. So this is the situation of the pure devotees. The eye of devotion is nothing but the eye of the pure, unalloyed spiritual self of the jiva. The form of Krishna is visible to that eye in proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. I'll read that again. The form of Krishna is visible to that eye in proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. So, in other words, to the degree to which we're pure, to that degree we'll see Krishna. So we can understand if we're not seeing Krishna, if we haven't got lolium, if we haven't got that longing, if we're not feeling that separation from Krishna, it means that our heart is still clogged with many, many dirty things. And what is the nature of these dirty things? Is lust, greed, hankering, anger, frustration, envy, madness. All these things are still, if we're not seeing Krishna, then it means that we have a lot of cleaning to do. So the whole practice of bhakti is a cleaning process. That it can be summed up in one. Sadhana, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti means clean. It means cleaning. It means cleaning your room till it's spotless. Prabhupada called it summit cleanliness. Summit cleanliness means the highest level of cleanliness imaginable. Your body has to be clean. You have to take only Mahaprasad. Of course, in this temple that's not difficult. You have to take the most pure, clean food, which is Mahaprasad. You have to bathe your consciousness at least in the mode of goodness at all times, and preferably, this is why it's nice being here at Radha Govinda Dham, is because there's no air pollution, or very little. There's no sound pollution, and there's no light pollution. At night you can even see the stars very clearly. So we have to be in a state of purity to see Krishna. Without the state of purity, Krishna consciousness will just be some faraway story in a book. It'll just be a fairy story. It won't be reality. So it doesn't take one to be a great Brahmin to be pure. Even a simple, humble person can be pure. Just like a good example is our Jayananda Prabhu. We spoke yesterday a little bit about him, the original Jayananda Prabhu, who was a very simple person. Before he met his spiritual master, he was driving a taxi. His favorite pastime was eating ice cream. He was a very innocent person. But when he became a devotee, he didn't want it. They wanted to make him the president. He said, "No, I just want to do my service and take out the trash and clean up and just do simple preaching to the people and making Rath Yatra chariots." You don't have to be some great intellectual. It's not a matter of, there's no material qualification for pure bhakti. The only qualification is purity. And purity comes by engaging in the ninefold processes of bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering, and all these things, and working under the direction of our Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada's representatives. And if we simply engage, I think Mahamantra Mataji is a very good example. I heard about her before I came to this temple, and now it's confirmed with my own experience. She's fully engaged, and her brother Parashuram Prabhu also in England. These are two examples of people that just continually engage. And if you constantly engage in service and in hearing and chanting and following these four basic principles, then that is the quickest way to achieve purity. And by doing so, darshan of the Lord will slowly darshan will become available to us if we do like that. So we have to continue and not be discouraged by the task ahead of us. When the devotion in the neophyte reaches the stage of bhava bhakti, the pure eye of that devotee is tinged with the salve of love by the grace of Krishna. So that's the stage of bhava bhakti, which enables him to see Krishna face to face. The phrase "in their hearts" means Krishna is visible in proportion as their hearts are purified by the practice of devotion. The sum and substance of this shlok is that the form of Krishna, who is Shama Sundara, Natabari, the best dancer, Mulikara, the holder of the flute, and Tribhanga, triple bending, is not a mental concoction, but is transcendental and is visible to the eye of the soul of the devotee under trance. So, in conclusion, we can understand that we will only see Krishna when we have the salve of love, when we have the eye of devotion, the eye of love. Just like you will only remember in your heart your beloved child, if you love your beloved child, or if you love your beloved mother or father or girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife, when you remember them, you will always see them in your heart. So we have to practice this remembrance by constant practice. The saying is practice makes perfect, and that is very much the principle on the path of bhakti. By constantly practicing remembrance of Krishna, even unofficially, by coming to class, even though we don't want to necessarily come and hear, we'd rather maybe take a rest, or maybe surf the internet, go on Facebook, or do so many other things. But if we actually discipline ourselves, they say that victory is achieved not by genius or brilliance, but by consistency. Consistency and discipline is the secret of success in bhakti, along with the mercy of the Shuddha Bhakta, the pure devotee. So if we're consistent in our efforts, and we continually pray for the mercy of the pure devotees, the parampara, and whichever pure devotees we are fortunate to find in this world, then success, like the four Kumaras, is guaranteed, and we will eventually come to the supreme abode and see the Lord face to face. But it will begin in the heart, when we have this smarana, when we have this remembrance of the Lord. Okay, because of the time, I'm going to wrap it up here. If anyone has one or two, if there's just one or two quick questions we can take, otherwise, I'm sorry.
I'm afraid we don't have time for questions.
We don't have anything. Okay. And thank you all so much for listening. I'm so sorry, it was probably very boring. You've heard these things so many times. I'm not used to giving class. It's not my nature to speak to people in a crowd. I'm just very shy by nature. But, I was told, I was instructed by my dear friend, Vidura Prabhu. He requested me, and I can't refuse the request of such a nice devotee. So please excuse my repeating things, which you already know and have heard so many thousands of times. But I didn't know what else to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Shri Govinda Dweep Dham ki
Jai.
Haribo.
Haribo.